everyone. Welcome to this practice. I welcome you all onto your mats. Today we are focusing on strength, upper body strength and core strength. And we'll be focusing on building strength and mobility in our wrists, in the arms and in the shoulders, also in the back body and then in the core. It will also use the muscles of our entire body, but it will be more focused on building the strength in your upper body so that you can prepare yourself for handstands and headstands and crow pose and just generally all the poses in yoga that you come across that require upper body and core engagement in order to support that position. So that's what our focus will be on today. Make sure you have some water nearby, as we will be moving quite quickly through the practice from one thing to the next. So just before we start our practice, I just want you to come down into a seated position, and I want you to place your hands on top of your knees. Your palms can be facing up or they can be resting down, just whatever feels more comfortable for you today. And I want you to close your eyes and just take 2 minutes, and I'm going to guide you. And I want you to take 2 minutes and think about a time when you were strong. And it can be a time when you felt physically strong, or you done something that required a lot of physical strength. But maybe leaning more towards something or a moment when you were emotionally or mentally or spiritually, socially strong. An act of strength. Maybe you stood up to someone. Maybe you were honest with someone and that was tough. Maybe you opened up your heart. Maybe you were really vulnerable. Maybe you done something incredibly bold and brave. Maybe you just let yourself be seen and heard. Maybe you pushed yourself in some way. Whatever that moment is, and there may have been a few moments that came to mind, and there may be one that stands out the most. And I want you to try and remember what it felt like in that moment when you found strength, and when the strength seemed to come maybe from nowhere and carry you through that moment. Maybe it was difficult, maybe you didn't quite think you'd have the strength, but you did. And I want you to allow that feeling, and maybe you have to recreate it, maybe it's not just there. Allow that feeling, or that memory of the feeling, to just fill your entire body. And be inspired by it. Allow your inspiration today to be your own strength. Allow what motivates you to move today to be all of the strength that you contain in your own heart. And resting with that feeling for one more moment. Allow the next words that I say to penetrate into your psyche a little bit. And maybe you want to repeat them out loud, and maybe you'll repeat them in your head, or maybe you'll just let them seep in to your own heart. strong. And there is strength in both my ability to let others see my power and equal strength in letting others witness my vulnerability. And with this feeling of strength, being what motivates us in this practice, we can begin to open our eyes, allowing that feeling hopefully to stay with us, and maybe we'll come back to it at the end so it can come with us in the rest of our day as well. And so we're going to start, and we're going to grab our left wrist with our right arm and just wrap the thumb and the index finger, or whatever finger is comfortable around, and just take some slow wrist circles. And wrists seem like something that aren't maybe that important to warm up, and switch around the other way. Make sure you're circling them in both directions, nice and slowly, whatever feels comfortable. Just starting to warm up all of the tendons, the joints, the ligaments, the bones, the muscles. Yes, but it's really important to warm up the wrists and to warm up the joints a little bit when we're working through stuff that's putting a particular amount of pressure on them. And then switch. And just do your right wrist. And it may seem like you're not doing much, but it can be really important when you're working into the wrist just to take a few moments to let them know that you're going to be working with them today. So that the first moment that you engage your wrist isn't when you're already putting your entire body weight in them, just a little bit beforehand. So they have a chance to warm up, to engage their strength. Maybe just take a few on their own. Maybe you'll hear some little clicks. And then coming forward and coming into a tabletop position and allowing your wrists to face inwards and bringing them so there's about an inch, well, about 2 inches between. And then just moving and swaying gently back and right so that you're shifting the pressure and the weight from one hand into the other and just slowly working into the wrist. And you'll feel it in the wrist and maybe the top part of your hand and also the lower part of your lower arm, and just working so that it's comfortable but that you're slowly warming up the wrists and the joints just by transferring this pressure. And then maybe take it round in a circle. Just moving the weight through all those different parts of the hand and allowing the wrist to wake up and to start to engage. And then come back, tuck your toes and come back. And you want this time your palms on the ground and your wrists are going to be facing forward. Okay? And you can adjust to bring your hands as close to your knees as is comfortable for you so that you get a stretch, but you do want the heel of your palm, you can imagine the heel of your hand, to be pretty much flat against the mat, flat against the floor, so in contact with it. Maybe bring them forward a little bit and bring them forward enough so that you can slowly just start to shift forward and backwards. Okay, so maybe untuck your toes And then just really gently, it's going to be quite a small movement, I imagine, for most of us. Just slowly shifting forward and backward. Forward and backwards. Forwards and backwards. All of those work. Forward and back. Just to create that little bit of a stretch and an opening in the hands. And the heel of the palm can come up a little bit, maybe, if that feels comfortable. But just working to try and maintain that stretch. Release it. Increase it a little bit. And release it back. Increase it a little bit. Release it back. And then release. Bring your palms around the other way. Sit back and just do a couple of circles. Maybe just shake your wrists out a little bit. Shake your arms out. Move your fingers. Just allow the energy to come back into all of your fingers. You're going to have a little sip of water. And then we're going to move into our first little flow today. So we're going to come forward into tabletop position, and to start we're going to work through some tricep push-ups, moving back into downward dog. So I'll show you the first one. You want your shoulders stacked over your hands, hands pressing down firmly into the mat, and on an inhale you're going to bend at the knees, knees tight, coming into the sides of the body nice and tight, down to the floor, just hover slightly above and then push back. Weight moves back into the feet, and then you're going to come up into this downward dog position, but you're not going to fully straighten your legs. Okay? So we'll try one more of them together. So then from here, you're going to lower your knees down, and then shift forward, tricep push up, push back, tuck the toes, lift the knees, come into a downward dog. But allow yourself just to come into a gentle downward dog where your knees are still bent, but you're starting to warm up into this position, okay? And we're just going to do that 5 times through to start warming up the upper body, engaging the core a little bit, and working into the wrists as well. So feet can be crossed. We'll take one deep breath all together. So inhale. Exhale, and starting on our next inhale, push up, exhale, push up, move back into downward dog. Inhale, knees lower, move forward, exhale, push up. Inhale, lift into downward dog, exhale, knees lower. Inhale, move forward, exhale, push up, inhale, push up, push back into downward dog, let the knees hover off of the ground, keeping a bend in the knees. Inhale, knees lower, exhale into a push up, inhale, push up and back, exhale, downward dog, keeping a bend in the knees. Inhale, lower the knees down, move forward, exhale, tricep push up. Inhale, push back up, exhale into downward dog. Last time, inhale, knees lower, exhale, tricep push up, inhale, push back up, exhale, knees lift, downward dog. Then allow the knees to come back down and taking the pressure off of the wrists. Just come back in to a child's pose for a moment. And on the inhale, hands come out in front, and we move slowly back up into a downward dog. Okay, so allow the knees to hover the bum to lift up into the air. Maybe readjust, moving the feet a little bit closer, hip distance apart. And then start to bend into one knee and then into the other knee, pedaling it out and pressing down into our palms at the same time. So we're warming up the wrists and the arms still, but also bringing a little bit of energy into the legs and the lower body and just pedaling it out and what feels comfortable here. From here, bringing the feet back to stillness. Slowly on an inhale, you're going to start to transfer the weight into one hand and then lift the other hand up and move it back. And then the same with the other hand. Keeping a bend in the knees, you're going to move it all the way back, bringing your hands towards your feet at the back of the mat. From here, we're going to move into our next exercise. So there's two options. We can either take little hops or we can rise up onto our toes. So we're going to place the arms out in front, just about a foot away from the feet or a foot and a half away from the feet. Then we're going to slowly rise up onto the balls. And as we do this, the weight is going to transfer forward into our hands. And once our shoulders are stacked over our wrists and in line with our wrists, we can either step the right foot and then the left foot in towards the hands, or we can take a little hop. And it really is a little hop. So if you try and take a big hop, you're just going to hurt your wrists and fall all the way forward. So it really is a small hop. So working with whatever feels comfortable. You're going to inhale, rise up, and then hop. And then the hands come forward. Same again, rise up and step or hop. Rise up, step or hop. Rise up, step or hop. From here, right leg steps back to plank, left leg back to plank. And from here we transfer the weight into one palm and then move back, all the way back, arms coming to feet. Deep bend in the knees and slowly rise up. Fingertips come to kiss overhead and then come back down to the heart center. And then we're going to repeat that, okay? And we're going to repeat it 5 times through. So you should be able to fit in about 4 hops to the front of the mat. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on how tall you are. So you choose whether you want to rise up onto the balls and then gently step the toes in closest to the hands, or whether you want to do that very small hop. Make sure that when you're leaning forward, you don't move your feet until you feel the weight transfer and your shoulders are stacked directly over your hands. And that's when you'll start to feel that you can't go any further and that your feet need to join and come closer. So breathing in, hands come up to kiss overhead. Exhale, bend in the knees, bring the palms down to the earth. Straighten through the arms and the legs. And taking those hops, so place the palms and hop or step. Hop, place the palms, hop, place the palms, hop. Step back, right leg, then left leg into plank, and then slowly start to shift the weight from hand to hand and come back towards the back of the mat. Bend in the knees, arms come to kiss overhead, and we go straight back down. Straight legs and straight palms, palms plant, shifting forward and hop. Palms plant, start to shift forward and hop the feet up. Again, shifting forward and hop. Last time, shift the hands and hop. Step back, right leg, then left leg, and slowly bending in the knees, start to work it back to downward dog and rolling up into mountain pose. fingertips kiss overhead, we bend at the knees and we bring it straight back down to the F. Palms plant in front, we start to shift weight into the hands and then we step the feet to join. Hands and feet. Hands, shift the weight and hop. Plant the palms, shift the weight and hop. Step right foot back, left foot back and slowly work it back. Moving all the way back to the back of the mat. Arms come to kiss overhead and on an exhale we bend at the knees and the palms come back down to the ground. Twice more through. Palms, shift and hop. Palms, shift and hop. Palms, shift and hop. Palms, shift and hop. Step the right foot back and then the left foot, bend in at the knees. Work your way back. Deep bend and roll up all the way to standing. Last time, fingertips touch and exhale back down to the mat. Really make sure you're pushing down into your hands as much as possible. Okay, so plant the palms, shift and hop or step. Palms, shift and step. Palms, shift and step. Palms, shift and step. Step it back to plank and then move last time all the way to the back of the mat. Coming up to standing. Fingertips reach up, stretch and kiss overhead. And then fingertips come back down to the ground. Back into heart center. Okay, so with that same idea now, in fact the same movement of planting the palms, keeping the arms straight and allowing the weight to be, really be coming forward in the body. So your weight isn't in your legs, but your weight should be more so in your arms and your palms. And from here, actually I'll come forward a little bit, we're going to do some bunny hops, okay? So maybe just watch and I'll show you these first couple what we're going to do. So move into the left side first. So you're going to bend the knees and hop to the left. Keeping a bend in the knees pretty much the whole time and pushing down really firmly through both of the hands. And then we'll hop and we'll switch to the other side. And hop and hop. And depending on how much strength you have in your upper body, these hops might be quite small. Okay, if you have quite a lot of strength, you might even be able to really float, okay? So the more you push down into the ground, the more of a lift off you're going to get, okay? And this is going to slowly, after time, really build your upper body strength so that you can start to float from side to side, just as you would if you were coming into a handstand, okay? And we're going to do that 20 times, so 10 on each side, okay? So take a deep breath in, arms straight, and legs with a little bit of a bend, and we're going to start by jumping to the left. And as you jump to the left, you're going to be jumping closer into your hands as well, okay? So you're jumping in sort of, you're going to be doing sort of a V as you jump, alright? So breathing in, bend the knees, exhale, left and right, 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 halfway, left, right, left, right, left, right, twice more, left, right, left, right, and then take a little hop back into the centre. And from here, you're going to bring the arms back, taking a forward fold with a slight bend in your knees. You're going to bring the palms underneath the hands so that your fingertips are pressing, not your fingertips, your toesies are pressing down into your palms, and the tips of your toes should kind of be meeting the crease in your wrist. And here you can work with applying pressure to the wrists. It should help release a little bit of the pressure from those last exercises. And you can bend into the elbows here and allow the head to release over. But we want the stretch to mainly be focusing on our wrists and our hands and decompressing the hands and the wrists. But at the same time, you will be getting a little lower back stretch and a little leg stretch as well. Just take 2 more breaths here, maybe shifting the weight a little bit back and forth, massaging your palms a little bit with your feet. And 1 more breath. And on an exhale, release your hands out. Whew. So what have we got coming next? Alright. So from here, I want you to push back into downward dog and just pedal it out again here for a few moments. Just allowing the legs to warm up a little bit more. They should hopefully be a little bit warmer after the bunny hops. Okay, but just pedaling them out a little bit. Maybe moving back into the hips and then rising forward onto the toes, shifting the weight forward. And then on an exhale, moving back. On an inhale, shifting forward into the balls of the feet. Moving the weight forward into the palms a little bit. And then exhaling and shifting back. Let's do that 5 more times. Inhale up onto the balls of the feet. Shift the weight forward into the palms. And then exhale, allow the heels to come down closer and push back into downward dog. Inhale, shifting forward. Exhale, moving back. Inhale, come onto the balls, shift forward. Press down into the palms firmly. Exhale, shifting back. Inhale, shifting forward. Exhale, shifting back. Twice more. Inhale, shifting forward. Exhale, shifting back. Inhale, last time, shifting forward. Exhale, shifting back. Alright, from here you're going to inhale, rise up onto the balls, and exhale, lower the knees down onto the mat. And just come back to rest. Maybe take a couple of wrist circles. And that should feel nice. Alright. From here we're going to work into another exercise, working our upper body and our wrists, but also really engaging the core, okay? And depending on your flexibility in your feet, this might look different for each person. But from here I'm going to shift forward, and as my palms plant the ground, I lift my knees and my bum lifts into the air. But as you can see from here, my toes don't curl back, but I stay so that the tops of my feet, particularly the knuckles of my feet and my toes, are still in contact with the floor. And then I allow my knees to come down and I shift back. Palms plant, toes lift, toes drop, knees drop, come back, okay? And I want you to really maybe try this a little bit while we're practicing so that you can feel what's comfortable. And it might be that you just come up a little bit, like here, and then you come back. And you come up just a little bit here, and then you come back. Okay, that might be your edge, and you'll feel it really in your legs as well. This one. For me, I like to bring it a little bit higher, and actually really to work into my core, if I bring my hands even closer to my knees and push up from here, I have to work into my core even higher. So maybe for any of you advanced yogis out there, you really want to bring it to the limit, but for a lot of us, our hands will be further out in front and we'll just be lifting it up a smaller amount. Okay? If this is really, really hard on the tops of your feet, then feel free to push back into downward dog, hover here for a moment, and then drop. So make sure you're still engaging your core a little bit. And we're going to do that 10 times through. Remember to breathe, it's quite tiring. Alright, so moving straight through, doing 10 repetitions, and coming to a level with the knees that's just comfortable for you, and adjusting your arms to whatever distance makes the exercise a challenge, but a comfortable challenge for you. Okay? So on an inhale, and exhale, forward, 10, back, 9, back, 8, back, 7, back, 6, back, 5, push back, 4, push back, 3, push back, really press down into the palms, 2, push back, last one, try and hold it here if you can, hover for a moment, hover, 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 squeeze the core, and lower down, slowly to the ground, push back, rest your bum on your heels, maybe, that one actually works the thighs a lot more than I remember, maybe just run your fists up and down your thighs a few times, just to help release. Ooh. Release that feeling. Alright. So from here, actually let's move from here. I just want you to swivel your legs and come so that your feet are out in front of you. Okay. Now from here, I want you to place your arms so they're a little bit in front of your bum. So you don't want them directly in line with your body and your bum, just a little bit forward. And then I want you to slowly work at pushing down into your into both of your palms and your fingertips, and just hovering here. Okay. So pushing down, really straightening your arms, locking out through your elbows, but comfortably, and then just pushing up from here, so that your bum is lifting off of the floor. Okay? And you don't want your arms back here. You don't want to be pushing like this. You want your arms to be forward so that when your bum lifts off of the floor, it's actually behind your hands. And just work at pushing here. Okay? From here, I then want you to plant your feet. So keep your hands exactly where they are, but plant your feet so the soles of the feet are in contact with the mat. And then shift your bum forward and lift up so you're in a reverse tabletop position. Okay, so you want the knees to be stacked over the toes, so you're creating a nice right angle, and you want your hips, your body to be as straight as possible. Okay, from here, you're going to inhale, exhale, we push back. Okay, so as you do that, you might need to readjust your heels, and we push back, hovering in this position. Then we push back, forward again, hips up, and back. Push up. So just try it so that you can find a position where on the way back, your bum is moving behind your hands, and on the way forward, it's easy to transfer the weight from your heels to your toes. Okay, so we're sort of rocking forward and backwards like this, and you want it to be a comfortable transition. Take a rest for a moment, and we're going to move through 10 of those repetitions. This one, really all the work is mainly in your arms. But if you try to engage your core, it should hopefully take a little bit of the pressure off of your arms. If you need a break, just skip like 3 or 4 reps out and then maybe try and join back in on the last few. Okay? So when we're ready, we're going to shift forward into that reverse tabletop position. Take an inhale, and then when we exhale, we're going to start. Okay? So inhale together. Exhale, 10. Inhale. Exhale, 9. Inhale, 8. So your legs want to be straight as you come back. You're really pushing off of the ground. 7. Push back. 6. Push back. 5. Keep going. 4. 3. 2. Last one. 1. See if you can hold it here and release. Whew. Well done. Definitely take the pressure off of the wrists. Release them there. Bring your arms out in front and allow the fingertips to come down through the arms. Just stretching out the top of the wrists. The opposite to how they just were. And on that last one, if you want to try it again, if you can't get your legs straight, it is okay to keep a little bend in your knee as well. I should have said that before. But it's one of those positions, those moves that takes a little bit of time before it becomes comfortable. But again, always make adjustments that feel comfortable. Alrighty. Okay. Now from here, we're going to move into a little bit of core work, just to take the pressure off of our arms for a moment before we move into our next upper body exercise. So from here, you're going to let your arms come out in front and your palms facing up, and you're going to slowly start to shift the weight into the bum, leaning back until you can lift your right and your left leg off of the ground. From here, we're going to do some toe taps, okay? And we're going to do that 15 times, right and left. So it'll be right, left is 1, right, left 2, okay? So get ready, take a breather if you need to, and then come up and meet me in this position. And you can adjust as we move through these. So it might be that you don't really feel your core engaging and that you decide that actually you need to lower your body down a little bit, and that you're going to feel it more when you're leaning back a little bit further. Okay, so feel free to make adjustments as we move through. Take an inhale, exhale, find your position. Inhale, exhale, we'll drop right, left, right, left, 2, right, left, 3, right, left, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, really squeeze your core, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Come forward, whew. Straighten through the spine, maybe wrap your arms around so your elbows are resting on your knees, and then allow your head to droop forward for a moment. Just resting for a second. Maybe, oh yeah, that felt nice. A little stretch to the back. Maybe roll the shoulders out a little bit. Just take any movements that feel good. Sometimes intuitive movement is the best thing for our body. And from here, we're going to move back into that position. So shifting our weight backwards, allowing the body to lower down. This time we want our arms so that our fingers are facing up, like we're saying stop. And we're going to allow the feet to lift up. And we're just going to hold it here. Okay? And we'll hold it here for 30 seconds. If you want, you can play with moving the arms about, but you really want to try and keep your torso as still as possible. Halfway. 10 more seconds. Really squeeze your core in tight. Challenge yourself. Feels good. One more inhale. And release. Shift the weight forward. Straight spine. And then allow your head to home moves over. Should feel good. Alright. From here, I want you to cross the legs. So you're coming into seated position and then move forward. Allow the legs to stay where they are. Maybe shift back a little bit so that the knees are on the outside of the mat and the toes are in towards each other. So a little V, a little diamond. And I want you to bring the left palm into the centre and then pressing down into left arm, straightening through the left arm. Allow the right arm to sweep up all the way across the body and up to the sky. And really allowing your chest to open up, pushing down, grounding down into the knees and the tops of the feet, and the left hand open up into your side body as much as you can. Gaze can be at the fingertips, out in front, or you can take your gaze up to the right hand. Take one more inhale here, and exhale, replace the left palm with the right palm. Really push down into the right palm, into both of the knees, and then with that right arm straight, allow the left arm to come up towards the sky. And you can really make this quite small movement a whole body engagement here. So opening up into the chest, stretching the shoulders, the arms. One more inhale and exhale, release it down. From here, we're going to move back, bringing the knees in together and then curling the toes under and coming into our plank pose. Now, if you want, while you're watching for a minute, just to lower your knees down, go ahead. I'm going to show you what we're doing. Some of you guys may already know this exercise, and we're just going to be doing shoulder taps. So the trick with this is as you shift the weight into one palm and lift the other up to tap the shoulder, you don't want to be shifting too much to each side, okay? You want to try and keep your body as still and straight as possible, and really just lift the hands. And the quicker you lift the hands, actually, the easier it makes this exercise. Okay? And we're just going to do 10 taps. 10 taps, and then we'll push back to downward dog, or you can rest in child's pose. And then we're going to do it again. So we'll do three times through 10 shoulder taps. Okay, so just 5 taps on each shoulder. So come forward or come up into your plank pose. Take an inhale. And on an exhale, lifting the left palm, we tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. Push back into downward dog, or allow your toes to drop down. Not your toes, your knees. Your knees to drop down, and you can rest in tabletop position. Take an inhale and exhale. Everyone coming back into the plank position. Inhale to prepare, and exhale, 10, 9, 8, 7, keep your hips nice and still, 4, 3, 2, 1, and push back, downward dog or lower the knees to tabletop. Take a couple of breaths here. Inhale. And then your next exhale, moving back into plank position. Last time through. Inhale. Exhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Push back. Downward dog. Or lower the knees into child's pose. Nice. And then everyone slowly lowering the knees down to tabletop position. Whew. And pushing back into child's pose. Maybe grab a drink. So resting in child's pose for a few breaths. Allowing the hands to rest down at the sides of the legs. And just taking a few breaths there. To really releasing the body. Moving into our last exercise. And then we'll stretch a little bit. And we'll be good to go. Alright, hopefully your shoulders are feeling much more open now. Maybe stretch your arms out in front. Come up onto the fingertips and allow your shoulders to open up. And then slowly rising up, we're going to shift forward and then come down onto our forearms. Okay? So we want our elbows to be 1 stacked underneath our shoulders and 2 in line with our hands. So you don't want your hands to be, I mean that would be quite strange, but you don't want your hands to be in and your elbows out, but you want them to be in a straight line together. And we're going to work up from here into dolphin pose, okay? So this is a shoulder stand, and this really works your shoulders as well as your lower arms and also your back, whole body, but mainly upper body and shoulders is what we're working on. So from here, if you tuck your toes, slowly lifting your knees, grounding down into the whole of the forearm and coming into dolphin pose here, okay? And you'll feel what's more comfortable. It might be that it's comfortable and that you're able to bring your toes a little bit closer so that your shoulders are fully stacked over your elbows. Really, your heels don't need to be touching the mat or the floor on this one. Again, like in downward dog, that's always the intention of pushing our heels down towards the ground, and that also helps open up in the shoulders. But again, like my heels in this position, they don't need to be touching the floor. Actually, in fact, it's easier for all of us, probably, to have our toes a little bit further back, because we're going to be switching forward, shifting the weight, coming forward over into a forearm plank, and then squeezing and pushing back into dolphin pose. And we're going to do that 5 times through, so back and forward 5 times, then we'll rest and we'll repeat it 3 times through. Okay, so all in all you're going to be doing 15 reps. This can be quite strenuous. If at any point you're finding it too strenuous, you can always decide to come up to downward dog and shift plank to downward dog, plank to downward dog. Okay, and that one takes a little bit of pressure off the shoulders. So coming back into dolphin pose, tucking the toes under, pushing the bum, lifting the bum up high, really making sure you shift so that you're stacking the shoulders over the elbows. And we're going to take a deep inhale, and on that exhale, we'll move through 5 repetitions, okay? So inhale, exhale, shift forward. 5. Shift back, 4. Shift back, 3. Shift back, 2. Shift back, 1. Drop the knees, push back into child's pose, rest here for a moment. Maybe you want to stretch out the shoulders, fingertips ahead. Maybe you want to drop the elbows and do shark fin overhead. This one's really nice for releasing the shoulders, especially if you really push back and push the body away from the elbows. You'll feel the shoulders opening up. On our next inhale, coming back into that dolphin pose, or into downward dog if that's your preferred variation, and then grounding down into the forearms and slowly lifting the heels and the bum up in the air, making sure the shoulders are stacked over the elbows. Taking a deep inhale and exhale, moving forward. 1. Shift forward, back, 2. Forward, back, 3. 4. And 5. Lower the knees. Come back into child's pose. Take whatever variation is comfortable. For me, I always move about a lot in child's pose. Maybe it's just because I'm naturally very fidgety. I also just like to try out a lot of different things sometimes to feel what I need in my body. And I urge you to do the same in your own practices. Inhale, last time through, moving up into dolphin pose. Inhale and exhale, tucking the toes under. Lifting the knees and the hips into the air. Okay. Inhale all together. Exhale, shift forward. And 2. Shift back. 3. Shift back. 4. Shift back. Last one. 5. Shift back. Maybe hold it here for a second. And then lower the knees down. Coming back into child's pose for a moment. And then lifting the head up. Opening up the knees so they come up out to the side of the mat so that you have room. So like we did at the beginning, when our fingertips face in towards our body and our wrists are pushing out so that the back of our arms are twisted out that way, we're going to come into lion's breath and just take 3 breaths here. So whatever feels comfortable, but you want to make sure that in this position that the heel of your palms is flat against the floor. So wherever you need to be, and maybe you need to be lifted off of the ground a little bit in order to do that, I want you to find a comfortable position where you can maintain that stretch. And we're going to take 3 lion's breath. So with a lion's breath, we inhale through the nose. As we exhale out the mouth, out the mum, and we stick our tongue out like that. You probably see people doing it in things. It's called the lion's breath because it's kind of like a roar, and you allow your tongue to come out and you really just let all of the air come out. No one's watching you, unlike you who was watching me. So really just enjoy this breath. So inhaling deeply through the nose, filling your lungs up with air, and exhale, tongue out. Inhale deeply in through the nose, filling the lungs up, filling the chest up with as much air as possible, and exhale, tongue out. Allow all of the breath to come out of the mouth, and inhale deeply again through the nose. Fill up your lungs with air, and exhale out through the mouth, tongue out. Lion's breath. Okay, and then just release the wrists. Stretch them, maybe defill our arms again for a moment. That's good. And then allow the knees to come back in together. Stretch the arms out in front. Not all the way out, so I want you to come from here into a forward fold. So you'll let the knees rise up and then maybe step the feet in slightly closer together. And I want you to just take that same stretch again, so allowing the hands to come under the feet and the toes to massage gently into the crease of the wrist, and then taking a bend in the knees. This also works really well. The more you bend in the knees and push down into the hands, and at the same time pull up and away. Okay, so as if your back body was pulling away, you'll really feel an opening and a nice stretch in the shoulders, which should feel really good after that last exercise. So right now I'm feeling a lot of stretches in my wrists, stretches in my shoulders, stretches in my legs and my lower back. And I want you to just really work at moving a little bit in this position. And the more you move, the more you'll start to find, oh, that feels quite nice, and some different sensations in the body. For example, if I bend my knees more and allow my head to come over and bend my elbows, I feel an entirely different stretch. And if I straighten my legs, I then bring the stretch into my hamstrings and in the back of my legs. If I bend the knees again and allow my gaze to come forward a little bit, I then bring the stretch into my shoulders and my legs again, but also my calves. My calves a lot more. And then once you've had a little bit of playtime in that position, release. Bend into the left knee, allow the right leg to straighten. Plant your left palm down in the middle. And as we did earlier, allow the right arm to stretch up all the way to the ceiling. So there's a nice bend in your left leg, and your right leg is straight but not completely locked. You can keep a little bend in it if that's comfortable. And you're pushing down into the ground, and that push down is what allows you to really expand up as the right arm tries to drag you away. So the right arm's pulling you away, but the left arm's staying grounded against the mat. And we're stretching in the side body into the right hip, the back of the right leg, and the left palm and the left wrist, the left shoulders. Take one more inhale and exhale, switch, so bending now into the right knee, straightening the left leg, placing the right palm down onto the ground and allowing the left arm to sweep up across the body towards the sky. And thinking of that same sensation. So grounding down, pushing into the mat, so that as if you're pushing your body away, but you have to stay in contact. And at the same time, the left fingertips are pulling you away, creating a twist in the abdomen, stretching the left hip, the back of the left leg, and then the right arm, the right hand, the right wrist, and the shoulders. And you can even work at opening the shoulders up a little bit by allowing that left arm to come back even more and pulsing a little bit. Then take one more deep inhale. Exhale, bend into both knees. Whew. And from here, you're going to roll up into mountain pose. But I want you to do this really, really slowly. So really bend down deep into the knees as if you're squatting. And slowly, slowly moving the weight back into your bum and into the heels. Allow the fingertips to hover. Then ground down even more in your bum. So you're sitting down into a squat. And then allow that to slowly start to lift you up. Stacking one vertebrae at a time. Still a nice bend in the knees. Slowly the knees start to straighten as the spine stacks. And then the shoulders roll back. And the head lifts up to the sky. Okay. Turn to face you guys. And we're going to take one last stretch all together. Okay. So breathing in, stretching up, fingertips, kiss overhead, and on an exhale, the hands come down to the heart center. And you may feel a lot of different sensations in your body. And I urge you here to just take any final movements that may feel good. Maybe after this you want to do a little bit of work on the legs. Or maybe you feel good enough today, but just take some wrist circles, some arm circles, circle the elbows, just so and then maybe give your arms a nice shake. We've done a lot of work on them. And this is one of those practices that's really good to come back to, because these movements become a lot more easier, and the easier they become, the more fun you can have with them. So as we finish now, just bringing our hands into our heart center, taking a moment before we move off of our mat and into our day to give gratitude to ourselves for coming to the mat today. And just remembering that strength that we found at the beginning. Allowing that strength to continue to inspire us throughout the rest of our day, throughout the rest of your day. Might inspire me too. I think it will. And repeating to yourself in your head or out loud, I am strong. There is strength in both my ability to let others see my power, and equal strength in my ability to let others witness my vulnerability. And we bow the head to the fingertips. Namaste.